Hello, everyone. Welcome. It's Alicia Brachet here at Cosmic Gateway. I am so incredibly excited to introduce to you a very dear and special soul sister of mine. I have Alicia, all the way from the other side of the globe, who runs a page, Carta Astral. So some of you might know her work. I often share some of her writings. And I brought her on today to have a bit of a cosmic conversation. So Alicia, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thanks to you, soul sister. I am very excited, as you can possibly know.
And just
okay, yeah. Being serious. Thank you so much.
Thank you for being here. And I know that this has been a bit of a work in progress. I mean, we connected a couple of years ago now. So I was thinking about this, preparing to sit down and record the session. So I think it's like 2 years, or I don't know, time. So irrelevant, but
yeah, 2 years. Well, in July it's going to be 2 years.
Oh wow, okay. It feels like forever.
Oh, trust me, I remember.
And I think it was about a year ago that I kind of reached out to you and I said, let's do a video. And so since then it's kind of been like this work in progress, getting to this point. And I know we always have to trust in the divine timing of things. And it was about 2 weeks ago that I had a very distinct dream about us having this conversation. And I messaged you, and sure enough, you had been thinking about it. So I kind
of. Oh my God. Yeah, I have been kind of harassed basically by signs and my own guidance to do this. I wasn't very sure about this because I don't feel really comfortable with videos, but I knew that there was a message that wanted to come through. So I just calmed down, put myself together and say, okay, let's try it. Let's do it.
And thank you so
much.
After
1 year. After 1 year.
We get there in the end. And I just wanted to say, thank you so much for the work that you do in your service, in being a Wayshower. I know that you have such a big audience in, the Spanish speaking communities, that you help so many people better understand Ascension and energy. And obviously you do your tarot cards and your readings, and you're just such a beacon of light. And just thank you so much. And obviously I'll put the links below, so that if you don't already follow Carta Astral, you can do that. The beautiful thing about Facebook is you can translate, so even if you don't read Spanish, you can translate.
And it's a pretty good translation.
Yeah.
It's I have been getting into the page and testing every translation that I understand. Of course, I'm not going to try Russian because I wouldn't understand, But I have tried English and French and Catalan translations, and they're pretty fine, I guess. And they're pretty fine. And I think that, it has been a long journey, and I honestly feel very, very privileged, to have all this following on Carta Astral. Anyway, so I think that this is because, I remember when I started my own journey that there were no pages, no websites, nothing in Spanish. And I really believe that having the information was going to make so many people feel a little less scared about the whole process, because honestly, I was scared. I was so deeply scared that I needed to find someone to communicate all these messages in Spanish. So I just said, okay, then maybe this is what I have to do then. And that is how it happened.
And I'm so glad that you did. And I think let's backtrack a little bit, because obviously you wouldn't be able to do the work that you do without experience, right? That's...
Oh, yeah.
and being a little ahead of the curve, so...
Of course, yeah. No, and I would never, ever, ever talk about anything that is not in my experience, because when you experience something, you really have the first-hand information. It's different when someone tells you, I am going through this, than, live it yourself, experience it yourself. And I think that I would never speak about anything that I wasn't, that I haven't lived in my own flesh.
Yeah, yeah. And that's the best way to lead and shine the light forward. So I find it really interesting because we have very similar experiences and very similar paths, but obviously different. And I'll never forget the first time I connected with you. And obviously, we share the same name.
Oh, me neither. I think that by then I was just going crazy. Yeah, I was, to be honest, it was for me, it was like, okay, I connect with her and try to find an answer to what is going on in my life, or I start looking on a mental illness facility. It was that kind of decision to make. Is either I trust what is going on and try to find a different answer, or I found a very good psychiatrist and get medicated. No, yeah, honestly, I thought I was going through a psychotic break.
Mm-hmm,
That is what I thought, at the beginning. It was so overwhelming, and I have going through so many physical symptoms that it was like something it's breaking apart inside me. And it probably has to do with my mind.
Yeah, yeah. It's really well said. And I think we all get to that point, don't we? Going through Ascension is not an easy pathway. It's not an easy pathway, especially when you don't have a reference point and it's all a new experience and you've got really nothing outside of self to trust in. You've got to trust in that own experience. But that's why it's so beautiful to have people like you that can guide and ease people's mind as to, this is some of the symptoms, this is what's coming up, trust in the process. But yeah, I remember when we first connected, and when you were telling me about your story, it was like I was listening to someone else tell my story. And they were things that I've never put out publicly, that they're things that people don't know about my life unless it's the people that are closest. So I remember, the first connection that we had, obviously we share the same name, our birthdays are a few days apart, and I was looking at you and I felt like I was looking at myself, and I was like, this is a trip. This is such a
Yeah, it was and behind that's also the story that I started following Cosmic Gateway maybe 2 weeks before I went through what I call a massive activation. I was I was already going through through physical symptoms. To be fair, I am super hypochondriac. I hate to feel bad. I know I can't deal with the physical symptoms. It was at the beginning. It was really really desperate. I just had my thyroid gland removed, so I didn't know if it was kind of a secondary effect of the surgery or what the heck was going on. So when I connected with you, I found the page. I don't know how. I just found Cosmic Gateway, and I started following it while I was feeling like I was dying. But I never made the connection until something that you posted, and I remember writing, thank you for this, because this starts making sense. I am kind of understanding what I was going through and what I have been going through and what it is still going on right now in my life. So I remember that maybe 2 weeks after that, I went through the massive activation, and I said, this is kind of funny, because I said, if this is going to kill me, better it kills me now. If it's not going to kill me, I'm ready to fulfill my mission. I don't know which kind of trance state I was then, because I felt kind of I was feeling this heat, going in an ascension, in an ascendant, sorry, in an ascendant direction, and every single chakra was hitting and expanding, and I was going crazy. I was just like losing my mind because I didn't know what was going on. My whole body was shaking. This lasted for at least 3 days, and in day 5, after 5 days of going through this day and night without being able to eat even, it was, obviously I was not even trying to sleep, not even 5 minutes, because that was funny, every time I lie down with these symptoms, they always got stronger. And it was like, okay, no, I don't want to sleep. I don't want to sleep in. We are fine like this. Okay, I'm going to stay awake. I'm going to keep pacing because I was pacing all over the place. It was so mind blowing. And um, I remember that after saying that I was ready to fulfill my mission, I just got disconnected. You know, I slept for like maybe 3 hours, and I started feeling much better the next day. And then I think that that happened in June 17th, you know, and we spoke on July 11th. Maybe a month later, but in between, I opened Carta Astral. I created Carta Astral. So it was pretty much a very intense journey until
I
then.
love that. And I don't even know if I knew that specifically about your story, about that surrender to your mission and like either take me now or I'll do what, do what I.
Yeah, because you know, I honestly, I'm going to be very honest. I have always been very honest, you know, because I'm not the kind of person that tries to, you know, hide the human part that I have, of course. You know, as a Wayshower, I keep telling them, I also feel like I'm dying right now. You know, I
Right.
was feeling so physically threatened. You know, I was feeling like I was really going through. Uh, um, I thought that I was not going even to wake up the next morning.
Mm.
I was so desperate that it was in my mind, it was kind of a way to ask to die, because I prefer to die than to keep going with the same physical symptoms and mental symptoms and emotional symptoms that I was experiencing for the last 5 days. I really wanted to die. I know it sounds pretty much strong, but boy, I was put in a very hard place, I guess. Well, not hard. It's just like I am a hypochondriac, you know. And when you are afraid of getting sick, I think that even a headache becomes a tumor. You know? So
Yeah.
I was really scared, and I was losing control. I lost it. I lose it. By then I was losing control of my physical body, of my mental body, well, my mind and my emotions.
And I think it's really
And
important
I
that
was
we.
also so tired.
Yeah, right. I think it's really
Okay,
important to
it's
talk.
going to start happening this.
No, I think it's really important that we talk about this because obviously what's happening on a collective level right now is that a lot of people who never had any ascension symptoms are starting to go through that now. And I know a lot of people have made the correlation to coronavirus mirroring ascension symptoms, and
Yeah.
I think a lot of people wake up through a trauma. Everyone wakes up through some sort of trauma or near death
Hmm.
experience, and it's that point that we give over and we surrender to.
Yeah, of course.
I'm in either I opt out or I'm here for a purpose and I need to fulfill.
Yeah, of course. No, and also, you know what? If it wasn't like that, you wouldn't go through the rabbit hole. You know, you have to be shaken to go through the rabbit hole,
Yes.
and that is that. I think that that is part of what dreams had to do with the ascension process too. You know, because so many people ask me on the page, why do I have to have these vivid, lucid dreams? You know, these are nightmares. It's because if you wouldn't go through that, you wouldn't be, you know, trying to find the right answers.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive in a little bit more. And do you want to share about what your awakening process was and the dream? I know we're coming up on a very auspicious anniversary of
Yeah,
that
indeed.
catalyst point. So
Okay. So let's go down the rabbit hole.
yeah.
Um, I think that I was already experiencing some symptoms of awakening, maybe since November of 2016. You know, year after I got my theater band removed, I started with a double heartbeat, which didn't let me sleep. You know, it was very hard. It was very intense. The symptom was very intense. So I was start feeling this double heartbeat. And obviously I went to the doctor, and he said, you are perfectly fine. Yes, you have a double heartbeat, but it will pass. You know, I don't want to medicate you. You stay like that and just keep calm. You are perfectly fine, and be patient. And I said, okay, yeah, sure, I'm going to be patient. But and after that November, November, December, and January, I guess, I start going through different symptoms. You know, the lower back pain, the headaches, the dizziness, and all this stuff. And obviously, I started going through this. I don't know if I don't know if you also experienced that, but I started questioning, why was the purpose of existence? You know, why were we here? You know, we are, you know, all that deep ontological questions you start going through during Ascension. And one night, I remember I went to sleep. I was very shaky, and I thought that I was just having kind of a sugar low thing in my blood or something, because I was going through already the false hypoglycemia. I don't know if in English is the same word, but when you feel your sugar low in your blood, you start low sugar. Yeah, you start feeling like shaky and you know, like blurry mind and nervous and maybe nauseous also, and with a headache. So it was like that for maybe 1 month. Then one night I just went to sleep. You know, I kind of had a feeling that something weird was going on with me. I honestly didn't know what was going on. I thought that it was just maybe, you know, anxiety or something. And I remember that I woke up after this dream in which I saw a woman sitting in a coffee, kind of, it was a restaurant or something like that. But I knew that it was not a dream. I knew that it was more like an astral projection, because I was remotely seeing places that I have never been there, you know. And in my dream, I had the feeling that it was maybe somewhere in the United States. And I was very conscious in my dream. I went to the coffee shop to buy some. I think that I was in my dream. I was going to get a package, something that I was going to receive there. You know, I didn't know what it was, but the thing is that I saw someone sitting in a table, and I went to her and I said, I knew that sooner or later I was going to find you. And she said, me too. Um, I woke up after that, shaking, with, you know, dizzy, with a panic attack, wanting to. I can't describe what I felt in that moment. It was kind of a disconfiguration. That is how I can explain it, like a disconfiguration. It was everything that I understood, the way I understand it, was kind of falling apart. But that was a sense, you know, it wasn't like an idea. It was a sense of being vulnerable in a very ontological way, very deep, personal way. And I look at the clock, and it was 2:22. That is why Carta Astral is called Carta Astral 2:22. It was 2:22 a.m. And since then, I think that I saw that number like at least 5 times a day in many different places, many different forms. You know, it was everywhere. The number was harassing me. And
like it was harassing you.
yeah, it was harassing me, harassing me. And I just, when I woke up and I realized what happened, it was like, oh boy, it was weird, you know, because I was feeling so physically bad, and at the same time, I knew that my life had changed forever. And the thing is that when I just went back to myself and I was totally conscious about it, I said to myself, I don't know who she is. You know, I don't know who the hell she is, but and I don't know where she is, and anything. I thought that it was kind of a random stranger, but I knew inside of me that she was not a random stranger. It was a very paradoxical feeling, you know, because it was like, it felt like home. To be honest, it felt like coming back home, but at the same time, not knowing what I was seeing, you know, or who I was seeing. And so, well, I just, I was feeling so bad physically because I kept going through the regular symptoms, very strong symptoms. And maybe 2 weeks later, I found out who she was. And it was kind of shocking, because I just realized that it was a famous person, an actress, to be clear, um, that she existed. I think that that was the shocking part. That she existed, because I thought that she was just a random stranger that I have seen before, maybe years ago, but I didn't know why it felt so transcendent.
Mm.
That is the word, I think, that it felt transcendent.
Mm.
So I thought that maybe I just pick her image, maybe in the
Right.
internet, maybe somewhere else. Because I just knew it was an actress because someone was watching the TV show in which she was acting. She
Yeah.
was part of that show, and it was like, oh my god, she exists. Okay, so I knew her name, and that was amazing. And I thought, okay, I can put this to rest because I finally know that it's not a stranger, and she's nice. She's a nice human being, and whatever.
Yeah.
But then the symptoms got stronger. My awakening was triggered in a very impossible way for me to at that moment, because I was so scared. Well, not scared. I was overwhelmed,
Mm.
overwhelmed with all the symptoms, with all the downloads, with all the realizations, with all the information I was getting, with everything. I was kind of, I felt like kind of a, how do you say this? Tsunami of information, was just over myself, and I was trying to figure it out everything. So obviously, very intelligent myself. I said, I'm going to start following her in social media. So I will know what is this about. Yeah, bad idea. I start following her. Yeah, because I start following her, and I realized that I was able to foresee what she was going to say.
Mm.
I was anticipating what she was going to say, what she was going to write down, or what any comments she was going to write up. It was very surprising to me because it was like I realized that I was kind of connected to her or something, that it was telepathic communication. And the thing is that I was even more scared because I read the tarot. That's what I do for a living since I was 21. So I thought maybe I'm just doing this. It's happening because I am a tarot reader. You know,
Yeah.
you can't possibly imagine how many times I tried to myself out of it. It was like, no, no, it's not important. It's something, it's whatever. You can ignore it. You ignore it because I wanted to ignore it. I
Yeah.
really wanted to ignore it. I liked her. She was very intelligent. She was very sweet, I guess, too sweet
Mhm.
at that moment. And I tried to ignore it. But the thing is that then I had another dream.
Mm.
She was there, of course, and I saw this. You remember when I told you about these bald guys
Yeah.
that were kind of pulling stones, pulling stones from the center of the earth, what looked like the center of the earth. Well, to not to be long story short, there she was in that dream, and she gave me in a part of the dream. She gave me a piece of bone with
Mm.
teeth on it, you know, like a piece of a jaw with teeth, you know, and that was kind of logical because she was somehow related to bones. So I thought that I'm seeing that because now that I know who she is, now that I know what she's doing in the screen, you know, I thought that maybe that my subconscious was making the link.
Mhm.
Yeah, it wasn't like that because my daughter came back from the park 8 months after with the same piece of bone. So I was really, yeah, I was exactly. I was like, I tried to, I tried to get myself out of it, like for months, for months. It took me at least 5 months to share what I was experiencing with this person, because I was able to feel her, to hear her, to know what she was going to say, to comment, to react to. I even knew who she was working with, and that was very creepy. That was absolutely creepy. I had a kind of a telepathic communication, and also an emotional communication, a empathic communication, because I knew how she was feeling. And it was so uh, overwhelming, so overwhelming. So honestly, at a time, I just called one of my friends and I said, I am playing and simply going out of my mind. So I need your help. I need you to pick me up and take me to a mental facility. You know, please don't tell my parents, and just lock me there because I am going through all this. And I told her what I was going through, you know, the dreams and um, the, the, the synchronicities, the
Yeah.
numbers, the
Yeah.
222 everywhere, you know, everywhere. It was everywhere. And I was like, oh no. Um, I tried to convince myself so many times that it wasn't happening anything because I felt like a crazy person. I think that is a very important part of this journey. You know, the people that are somehow connected, that have a soul connection with someone that is either famous or a celebrity or something that has a huge power position, you know, because it doesn't really uh, have to do with celebrities. It could be with maybe a religion, a leader of a religion or something, or a politician, or you know. The hard part is to believe that you are not going crazy and to not want to jump from the highest building you can find, you know, because I tried to get out of the connection so many times I can count. And not because I was, not because it didn't have anything to do with her, you know. I was perfectly fine. I also like her. I like her, and it was fine. But the thing is that you try to get out of it, and you can't. And you can't because then things start happening. You know, you have to start getting signs, and people start, you know, playing. It was so weird to me because when I told my friend, I thought that she was going to tell me, uh, my friend, you are really out of your mind. You are getting nuts. But it didn't happen, you know? It didn't happen. No, it was so shocking because she said, I don't know why, I can't explain it to you, but I feel that this is true.
Mm.
And I was utterly shocked because it happened with at least 10 of my friends.
Yeah.
Nobody until now has been able to tell me, you're really crazy, right? For some reason, everyone around me feels the connection, feels that
Feels the energy
maybe
of
not
it.
the connection. Yeah, exactly. That the energy, that the truth behind it. You know,
The
I
authenticity of it. Yeah.
yeah. So I learned to live with it and to not to run away from it,
Yeah.
even if I wanted to, because there were times in which I felt so overwhelmed of her emotions
Mm.
and what was going on in her life and what is still happening, that I can tell you, I have at least twice, I have sat on my bed at night and start crying and say, I didn't ask for this. Really, it's
Yeah. I think you sum up so beautifully, and I relate to that because just to put it out there, what we're talking about is a strong soul connection, um, known under various terms, you know, twin flames, twin souls, divine
oh
partnership.
yeah. I think that it's just
Interchangeably, but I think talking about the reality of the connection and how overwhelmingly powerful it is, and that no matter, you know, if every time your rational mind wants to justify what you're experiencing, it doesn't make sense, and you want to walk away, you want to pull away, but it just snaps you back every time.
every
um,
time. And
um,
also, you know what? It's a leap of faith. It's a, it's, I think that this is the greatest leap of faith of my life. You know, it's like, because I am facing constantly kind of, I am always faced to the realization that, are you in or are you out? You know, I don't know why. It's just part of the journey, I guess, that every single, at least 2 times a month, I am always questioning it. Well, not questioning it in a doubt, because I don't doubt the connection. I can't do it anymore. I have already shared with you everything that has happened so far, and it's really, it's beyond comprehension, I guess.
Yeah.
You know, so I had to surrender to it. I had to surrender to it. 5 months after I shared it for the first time, I remember that when I talked to you, you know, year and a half after the first dream, you were the first person that gave me the concept.
Mm.
Because I remember, you know, when you asked, please send me her picture, I said, okay, here it is. And you said, do you know about soul fragments?
Mm.
And then you start talking about the journey and what it meant to be part of the same ray, I guess, or the
Yeah.
same frequency. And it all clicked.
Mm.
It all clicked. It was like, yes. And you know what? This is something I would like to share, because I know that there will be so many people going through this. You know, because in the times that we are living right now, a lot of people are going to be locked up in their homes. You know.
Yeah.
And I wanted to say it and express it exactly in this way. The celebrities, the so-called celebrities, are going to step back from the highlight. You know, if we had kind of a conception that they are special because they have a not common job, or that because they are seen by so many, they are going to step down. You know, this moment of our that we are living right now will take them back to the regular, normal life, without all the highlights and without all the noise and without all the interference. You know, so I know that so many people are going to start going through this. So many regular people are going to start feeling, you know, these kind of connections. And the thing is that I believe that the part that has to do with uh, the fame itself is going to be deconstructed. You know, it's going to start being important.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I just wanted to share part of my journey, this
Yeah.
part of my journey. Oh yeah.
And
You
it's
know
certainly,
how hard it was for me, you know, because I think that uh, many people can get kind of how I just lost the word that I was going to confused about they are going through, you know, and I sorry, it's just that I know that I need to tell to share something about the journey, and it's kind of the connection is it's very hard for the rational mind, for the 3D mind, because if you share it, there will be so many people telling you that you are crazy, even if it was not my case, you know, it was not my case, but I know other people that are going through the same journey, and they are always tell that they are going crazy, that it can be real.
mm,
But it is absolutely real, because it's the same that you connect with someone that is well known or famous, and that connecting with, you know, maybe your neighbor 2 houses away from yours.
and- beautifully said. And I think the whole part of this journey, I always say this, it's part of deconstructing the 3D mind to go through. I think you used the word earlier, transcendence, to transcend into that higher level of consciousness and energy embodiment. And it's a massive process. And I think I love the way that you know, you came and connected with me because I could relate so much. And something that I have never shared openly is that my whole twin journey started through a series of very, very vivid dreams back in, I think it started around 2005. And I knew that they weren't just dreams, they were past life recall, they were connection, you know. I guess both of us being Pisces, we, you know, we're very connected into the non-physical realm. And I was starting to dream about someone who was in the public eye, and I was like, what is, you know, and very, very similar how you described. And I would follow on social media, and everything was created so that I was it actually started, I was watching he plays well, used to play professional football or soccer, and it happened, actually it was around March. I remember. And I was watching it, and as I was watching the screen, he turned and he looked straight into the camera, and something hit me in the chest. And I was like, what is that? What is that feeling? I need to know, I need to understand this. And so I started doing research, and spent a lot of time traveling, trying to connect with this person, because I knew that they had a big significance in my life. And I've always been very mission focused, because I knew that I was here for a big purpose. I never knew the details of it, but I was always like, show me, you know. And
yeah, of course.
Everything, you know, mine took a big plot twist, as I call it, because after travel and connect, everything eluded. Like it would kind of come and then it would shut down. It would come and shut down, and I had to just keep paying attention to my dreams. And after traveling a couple of times and coming back and feeling very like defeated, and that I had failed in my mission, I had a very profound dream that I had run a marathon. I'll never forget this. Because I went to bed going, what do I do next? What do I do next? And I woke up from this dream that I had run a marathon in Africa, and I had finished. I crossed the finish line, and then I was about to board a plane to Brazil, and the feeling of excitement and that sense of, you know, longing and wholeness came up, washed over me, and I'll never forget the feeling that I woke up with. And so I woke up that morning going, I have to move to Brazil. And to cut a very long story short, you know, that morning I went and I meditated, and I got the very strong message, you must go today and purchase that ticket. And I was just like, it's crazy, you know. And like you know, I was open with the people in my life, and no one really, they would joke about it, but they took me very seriously, because they knew, or they felt the conviction that I had of these experiences that I was having. And I went and I booked the ticket, and there was a lot of synchronicities that worked into doing that. And everything, my logic mind was like, this doesn't make sense, because this person is not in Brazil. This person's from Brazil, but they live in Europe.
Okay.
So why am I going to Brazil? You know, it just didn't make any sense whatsoever. And so I did that. I followed, and I booked a ticket, and I moved to Brazil, a place I didn't speak the language. I didn't know anyone. And I was guided to live into the town of where that celebrity was from. Feeling like I was on this mission, I was going to meet him, or I didn't know. I was just, you know, and as it turned out, I had been there for only about a month, and nothing was kind of working, because I was trying to connect in with that person, and everything kept shutting down, and I was just getting frustrated. And I turned to the universe and I said, universe, if you don't make anything happen, I'm going to abort this mission and I go home.
Yeah, you know, I of course, I have done that. You know, well, the thing is that I have never done anything physically. I have never moved. You know, I would never do it. I think, because I started to even if I have been you know, following all these signs, I just I think that the journey, that these kind of connections are very related to the mission, to the shared mission.
Yeah.
Of course, I feel the longing. Of course, I think that I have to say it so many times out loud. You know, I would give anything to at least be able to tell her, "Come here, I'm going to tell you a story," because I think that the story, it's a nice story. You know, it's very interesting. I think that she might be kind of overwhelmed too, because you know, there was something that happened to me that made me, I don't know if I always, well, I was educated to doubt about everything, you know, and to be
Mm.
very mental driven, very
Yeah.
intellectual driven, and very scientific, with a very scientific mind. Even if I believe in everything that I can see, you know, but my education, it was a very traditional one, a very intellectual one, and a very mind-oriented one. So if you can prove it, then it's not real. Okay. So I think that I start much, a huge part of this search, I guess, when I started following her in social media. You know, it was like, because I wanted to find proofs that it wasn't real.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. You were trying to like
that I was telling me, yeah, I was trying to
bust it.
find proofs that it wasn't real and that I was crazy and that I needed help. You know, that
Mm.
I needed medication. So the thing is that I started finding so many things that I really went, uh, even crazier, I guess. Well, not crazy in a crazy kind of way, but I what I found out it was that kind of the parallels in our
Yeah.
lives were too much, you know, too much. It was, even if I shared this with my friends, you know about them, you know, they are really mind blowing. The parallels are mind blowing. So by making this research, I understood at what level I am connected to her, and of course she might be connected to me, of course, right? Because it can be just an unilateral. Unilateral, is that okay?
Yeah.
When it
Yeah.
goes only one, okay, perfect. I was doubting about that word. Maybe of course she doesn't know. Okay, she doesn't know, and it's okay, it's fine. But the thing is that I found out that she lost someone back in 2008. You know, in July of 2008. And the thing is that it clicked because I went through the most crazy experience of my life at the same time. In the same day, you know, that she lost someone she loved very much. 2 hours later, I started feeling some kind of pain that went through myself, you know, through all my being. I felt something just going through me, you know. I felt the most unbelievable, undescribable emotional pain I have ever felt. And it was so weird because I started feeling like heart palpitations. I will start feeling a panic attack, anxiety. You know, and it was 3 p.m. in the afternoon. I was just taking the plates from the table, I guess, and then I fell down and I asked uh, uh, someone in my family to take me to the ER because I felt that I was going to die. I saw myself surrounded by monitors. Well, you know, and I thought that I was going to die. So the day I found out, then after that, I went through 5 months of anxiety attacks, of depression, of, you know, and my life was broken. My real life was a story. You know, I lived with TSD because of that,
Mm.
like for 4 years. And even now that I am telling it to you, it's hard
Mm.
because it was so overwhelming. I felt that my life was threatened somehow because I didn't understand. That was the hard part. I didn't understand if my life is perfect, you know, at that time, why I am feeling this way, why I don't want to get out from bed, why do I have these panic attacks and these anxiety attacks, and why do I feel so depressed? You know, I felt everything, you know, the air that I was breathing felt so different. And it lasted for 5 months. I was heavily medicated. I took medication for the anxiety, medication for depression, medication for my stomach, because I wasn't able even to eat or to sleep fine, because I was in so much stress that nobody understood what was happening. Nobody, you know. Thankfully, my family supported me, even if they didn't know what was the reason behind it. There was no doctor that could find the reason behind that, And I remember that after 1 year of this the first dream I had, and I found out about that, I I can't describe what I felt, because it was at the same time, it was like a blissful feeling of understanding what happened back then. But to be honest, I thought, I'm screwed. I'm really deeply in trouble, because with this kind of proof, when it all made sense. It all catch up. It was like if the past, the present, and the future, collided in that exact moment. It was like bam, and I was just like, oh my God! Now I understand what happened to me.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, it was beyond an epiphany. I cried like for 2 days, of course. Yeah, I spent the next 2 days crying, because I was releasing also the PTSD that I had,
Yeah.
because I thought that it happened to me because there was something wrong with me, but it wasn't me. It was the part of her that goes through me, or that lives in me, So I started learning how to live with it. Now I know that I have to, if I feel depressed, I am not a depressive person. Or if I feel depressed, it's like, okay, is it mine? Is it really mine? And I have been, thankfully I have confirmations that this is not mine. Sometimes, that is not my feeling. It's her feeling. And it's like learning to live as two people in one, with two different realities. It is the same soul, it's so overwhelming. And I know that it will be very overwhelming for so many people going through this, because the first thing is like, I am crazy. Every time that someone with that kind of experience reach out through the page, and tells me, I think that I am going crazy, I always ask them, have you felt any kind of attraction to this person before? Because in the most numerous cases, it started with a dream, and they are not even aware of this person. I didn't even know that she existed. How could I be kind of attached to her in the beginning? So that is the hard part, is that you need to deal with your 3D mind. Deal with it, and to feel it. It's very hard to share. At least for me, it was very hard to share it, because I felt ashamed. To be honest, I felt ashamed. I was like, I felt like I was so isolated because of the symptoms. I was already so isolated that I was losing my mind. That I needed to be in contact with other people. That I was, like, all fantasizing all about this, and I always talk to myself, and I always assure to myself, how could you be making this up if you didn't even know she existed? I think that I at the beginning, I thought that she was only kind of a, how do you say this, like a line to follow, that she was pointing the way somewhere else, but that it wasn't about her. I thought that it wasn't about her, until every place I got, every piece of the puzzle I found, it was taking me to her again. So I just I just give it in. I just decided to accept it, to fully accept it and to live through this kind of this truth, I guess.
Yeah, and
You know,
I think acceptance is a massive part of it. You know, I think there's various stages that people go through in terms of denial and shut down and resistance and pull back and run away, but ultimately it always comes back to that.
you know what? I think that denial never ends. Denial never ends, at least not for me, because I am always afraid. You know, I am always afraid because it's like, no, I don't. How to say this? I can't, you know, like feed my own hope of being in the same place one day, because I have never had any kind of 3D connection with her. You know, it's already happened in a 5D level through dreams, through messages. Oh, she loves to communicate through songs, you know, and that's amazing because, yeah, at the beginning I thought I was crazy, but it started happening with the people around me. They just send me a message. You know, the last one was lucky. It was like, um, I was I was listening to this and I thought about you, and the funny part is that the songs always connect to my reality. You know, there's always a message going through. So I think I will never try. Well, I not will never try. I honor her own life path. So I think that also a very important part of this journey is to be respectful.
Yeah.
Very respectful. You know, because I I learned to live with it, and if it's needed, I will learn to live without her. I don't need to um, get to the physical 3D connection. You know, I do what I am always guided to do. I know that we share a purpose in common. I have already understood it. I think that I know where it lies, you know, and where it is, this kind of this shared purpose. But it's not to me to force it into reality. I am just showing up, you know, and see what happens, because I know that in these kind of connections, the universe also has its own plans.
Absolutely. 1,000%. And I
Yeah,
think you said it perfectly, is that that's all we're guided to do, is to show up and follow our guidance in each moment and allow the unfolding to take place. Because anytime you
yeah, of course.
force something, it kind of, you know, eludes you.
Exactly. No, I didn't even watch the whole TV show, you know, in which she was, maybe 5 years ago, I guess, or 6 years ago. I can remember, you know. But I didn't even watch the whole TV show. You know, I didn't want to see it because it's not about, I don't know, I think that the purpose or the shared mission is bigger, you know, and it's where it lies. I have to be very honest. When I first opened Carta Astral, part of my intention was to somehow get connected to her, you know, in a 3D level. I thought if I put myself out there, maybe someone, you know, close to her, which it didn't happen, to be honest, you know, will tell her something. I don't know. I just, well, not tell her because I never share, or at least I never been open about this, not to open on my page. But it was my intention, you know, that maybe putting myself out there and offering my readings. And I wasn't a wayshower back then. I started being a wayshower after, you know, and I didn't know it was going to work out like that.
I love how the motivation will come in for one particular thing, but it opens the door to what we're meant to be doing.
Yeah, you know, and for that I will be grateful until the last day I breathe. To be honest, I was like, this connection changed my life.
Yeah.
It changes, and it remind me who I am and what I came here to do. You know, and every single day and night I thank her, even if I know she doesn't know, she has no idea. But anyway, I just I'm always thankful because all that people that can benefit from my own experience and the message and the downloads I have got so far, and the readings I offer for free, and the guidance in general, it's because of her, I guess.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to connect to her. And what I did, what I learned to do, to be honest, is to put that unconditional love, because that is how I can express it. I love her unconditionally.
Mm.
I don't, I don't, I don't even need to know her in a 3D level, because I know her in so many other levels. And the 3D, it will catch, it will match with what I feel, because I have been a little bit close, not in a direct way, in an indirect way, being close. So the feeling, this unconditional love that she triggered inside me, it's what goes through Carta Astral. In every single message, it's this unconditional love. In every reply, in every reading, in every uh, link I share, in every text I write, it's her and me and the unconditional love that we share. Maybe in higher planes, in higher dimensions, and it's fine, and it's beautiful, and it's worth living it. It's worth living it, because there are so many people out there with this kind of connection that in denial, and that feel guilty, and that they feel sorry.
Oh no, it's just so beautiful. Don't stop. It's just so touching.
Okay, now you're making me very conscious about it, and yeah, it is. I think it is so uh, intense, maybe so bold. Really, every time I open the page and I reply to a message, it's like a way to honor that connection
Mm.
without even expecting anything in a 3D level, because I don't expect anything in a 3D level. I would hope to, you know, um, but it's not an expected. It's not expecting. It's not like, and it's not conditioned, of course. It's not that, oh, I need to talk to her to know. No, it's okay. You know,
Yeah,
it's okay.
it's so beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I guess I feel the resonance because I feel so strongly about how that has been a big part of my journey, and how hard it is to open up and openly share about the things that we go through, and knowing that,
Yeah.
that's the only way forward, and that is part of the mission. And it is about the unconditional love of the catalyst of that person coming in and awakening you to understanding yourself at such a higher capacity, and it brings on all these symptoms. Yeah, that brings on all this skill set.
Yeah.
You know.
You know what? And I'm going to be very honest, sister. I would go through it all over again, and as many times as needed. After I found out about her, after I knew her name, my whole world changed. And I am able to change other people's worlds and
Yeah,
lives because of that connection.
yeah. It's so powerful. It's so incredibly powerful. So incredibly beautiful. And I guess that shows what the power of unconditional love can do. It can change the world. And
It
the more.
is. It changes. It changes because I have. That's the beautiful part is that I have spent these 3 last years trying to find so many answers, that I have so many information that is so useful for so many people, that I am obviously more than happy to share freely on the page. It's amazing. It's like I was following always the signs, and each sign took me to another place, and I learned about quantum mechanics. I know about the quantum entanglement, and it's mind blowing how it works. And it took me to realize that we are absolutely energy, frequency, and vibration, and that's all we are. and that we decide how to, well, not partially we decide, because I decided so many times to get out of this and they just don't let me. But it's okay. It's okay. I always make this joke that if somehow I get to meet her in 3D, first I will punch her in the face, and then I will explain why. You know, it has been so much by now, so much that I don't know if I am. It just, I think that I will always, when I think about my journey these last 3 years, you know, it's like I sit on my bed and it's like, whoa, it looks like even, you know, more dope than a sci-fi movie.
Right.
Yeah, well, I used to watch some TV shows like Sense8 and the OA, you know, and I used to thought that it was fiction. Oh yeah, tell me about. No, I know. Now I know that it's not fiction, you know,
Yeah.
and that it happens.
Yeah. Absolutely. I always say that prior to, and I think we experience my Kundalini awakening was at the end of 2015 in November, and I think that was when yours all started, and I started having the vivid.
Yeah. I started having the symptoms at the same time. Yes.
And you know, before then I used to think that, you know, obviously like you, I've been doing readings and energy healing since I was like in my early 20s, and you know,
Exactly the same as I.
I think I was around like 1920, so yeah, very similar. um and I always thought that you know, I doubted aspects. It was like, oh well, that worked, or that, you know, that was my imagination or whatever. And I know that after my Kundalini awakening, I realized how much more real and 100% accurate all those experiences that I thought was just my vivid imagination is actually real.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, 100%. Any kind of crazy side. I don't watch movies, but yeah, it's real. You know, it's so
Yeah,
real.
it's
And I
absolutely
always say I
real.
don't need to watch movies because my life is so much more entertaining.
Yeah, that's right. You know, and sometimes it happened to me so many times that I was so tired that I started doubting about everything. You know, because out of tiredness, out of exhaustion, because I holding kind of the whole part of the connection. Well, in the 3D realm, you know, and it's like, what if I am every time? This is very very funny because every time I start telling to myself, you know, I am making this up. It is not real. It is just that we have so many similarities, you know, because we chose the same careers. Well, not career, but the same kind of jobs, you know. Um, and we have so many things in common that I thought that maybe I was just being uh, trying to find kind of a different version of myself, you know, that I was seeing my own reflection in her, like as a reflection, you know, as a role model or something. Uh, but every time I try to convince myself that it's me making this up, because I tried really hard, you know, it's funny how I have tried so many times, much more than in the opposite side, you know. I have tried to convince myself that I am making this up, that it's just my imagination, you know. And then something happens, a sign arrives, but through my friends or the people around or the universe itself. It's like, this is not possible, you know? Yeah, it has happened to me so many things that it's like, I can't deny it. I would be out of my mind if I keep denying the connection.
Mm-hmm.
So I just, you know, I'm right
So,
here drinking some tea, you know, drinking some tea, trying to keep being patient and
yeah,
fulfilling my mission, of course, fulfilling my own mission.
yeah, and that's you know, that's the most important thing, especially during these times. So just amazing. I could talk to you all day, and I think there's so many
We
things
have
that
already done something like that, you know.
I guess there's so many different elements of this connection, but you know, the feeling, the emotion, the telepathy. I know, obviously I was led to Brazil, and the person that I thought it was in the beginning, this is many years ago, it was just a catalyst to get me to that particular place. And I realized that much later. And it's funny how the pieces of the puzzle become clear later. You only shown what you need to be shown.
Of course.
But the dreams that I had, you know, when I was in that place of like, you know what, I'm going to abort, I'm going to go home, my phone rang, and it was someone who said, you know, can we connect? I got your number through such and such, and I connected with her, and she said to me, so what are you doing in Brazil? And I just told her, and I explained, I need to find this place, and I described to her, and she just looked at me and she goes, I used to live there. I've just moved back from there. I lived there for 3 years. I know where it is. I can take you. And so I went there and I found all the places that I had seen in my dreams. And it was only about a month later that, through synchronicities and coincidences, I was led to a particular place where I met my counterpart for the very first time. And and you know, when you look at the story and how it unfolds, you can't make it up, you know. And
you learn how to you know, understand the pattern, understand that there is something bigger than you leading your way toward, you know. To be honest, I think that I have never told you this before, but after talking to you, like maybe almost 2 years ago, the first time that we talked, I slept so well because I thought, oh, maybe it's the same, you know. This person is only leading me to someone else. No, every single piece of the puzzle still points the way to her, and it's like so frustrating sometimes, you know, because I'm still waiting for someone else to show up, maybe, you know. And it's not that I am denying the connection, of course not, but it's like if there's something hidden, just please show it to me, you know, so I can rest my case, and I can just um, keep going without hoping anything else, you know. I need the final answer to this. That is because I know that there is there is still a final piece to the puzzle to find out.
And it all comes from the perfect timing. I think in my situation, I see how clever the universe was, because my person wasn't in the public eye. So if I had been shown the image of that person, I'd been connecting with the energy since I was a child, to be honest, if I really go back. And so to actually get me to relocate and move to South America, I mean, it's a big thing, right? And if I had been given the face or the name,
no, you would never have found it. Never. You know, I know.
It would have never, it wouldn't have made, it just would have been a face that made no sense whatsoever, you know.
The same way I thought at the beginning, you know, that I saw her and I said, oh, well, it's just another stranger that I will never see again, and that I am only seeing in this dream, you know. But if I wouldn't, you know, the funny part was that 2 weeks later, someone by chance was watching one episode of that TV show, you know, someone in my family, and it was shocking. And the thing is that, because I would never have found her, you know, I would have never found her, because I don't watch TV either, you know, only for specific TV shows that I was pointed out by other Wayshowers, you know, not because I want to, you know, go and scroll all over Netflix and see what happens. No, I don't like to watch TV or movies or anything, you know. So if that wouldn't have happened, you know, and that's my saying. It was such a random thing when I first saw her on the TV. That I maybe that is why I was so shocked, you know, because it was just 2 weeks after. Maybe if
Yeah,
it was like a week, 1 year after, I would haven't even remembered the dream.
it wouldn't. Yeah, wouldn't have made the connection.
I wouldn't connect it. And
Mm.
now I know that she was sitting with someone else in that dream. And after 2 years, I now know who was sitting with her.
Mm.
And it was amazing because it was uh, one of her of her closest friends,
Mhm.
you know, because I recognized the energy of the person.
Yeah, and
And I had started having dreams, and it all revealed. It's like living in a parallel universe.
isn't
You know,
it?
like
Isn't
oh yeah, cheers.
it? Cheers. I think you remind me of like, oh God, I think of so many mind blowing circumstances and things that have happened, but for me, once I connected with that person, it took me years to work it out. And I look back now and I can see um, the highs and the lows, and it makes more sense to me now with my level of consciousness. But back then, um,
Mhm.
it didn't make a lot of sense. But one thing that was common and consistent was the dreams. And I went through relationships with other people, but I would wake up almost every night having real vivid dreams about this person's life, about their family, about
Yeah, exactly.
details about their business and what they were doing. And I I mean, even though we were in contact, I didn't know that level of specific detail to what was
Detailed,
happening.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's yeah,
It's it's
mind
scary.
blowing.
But I think that the point that you made about the energy, and it was years later that it dawned on me, because I had felt that energy around me my whole life. Connecting in meditation, or at night I would lay in bed and I would feel this comfort of energy coming over me.
Yeah,
And it wasn't until years later that actually it was around the time of my Kundalini awakening that I was just sitting in the presence of that person. And all of a sudden I realized that was the energy. That was the energy I felt
exactly,
my entire
exactly.
life.
You know what? I think that we recognize the heartbeat, even if it's in a distance, not in a physical plane. Not in a short distance in the same place. It's the heartbeat. It's because I have had so many dreams with this person after, you know, this first dream that I can feel her energy too. It's so weird.
Mm,
And I know that I can feel all the people around her, the closest people around her,
yeah,
and it's
yeah,
it's mind blowing.
yeah. I think
It's mind
that's
blowing.
one thing that I struggle with, obviously being so highly sensitive, is that you can feel what that person's going through, and you can also pick up the energy of the people that surround them. Like when
Yeah,
they're doing certain things or they're interacting with certain people, like you just have that feeling. And it's as you were saying before, it's something that you learn to live with. And
yeah,
I always practice, and I teach my clients energy hygiene and practicing like energy distancing when and as you can, to
of
help the
course,
process, just to manage in day-to-day living. But as
of course, yeah.
we go through our ascension process, the more highly attuned we become. But
No,
especially,
let me tell you something else. The hard part is to not to say anything, you know,
mm,
not to say anything, because I have kind of a little bit of connection with some of them. I kind of talk to them because of a project that I am creating, because it's part of the mission. It's part
yeah,
of the shared mission. I didn't realize, but I am doing that. I'm creating a tarot, a tarot deck,
which are
and I
beautiful, by
am,
the way.
what?
Which are absolutely beautiful, by the way. I can't wait till
Oh,
they're.
thank you. Yes, I love it too, because maybe because I am, well, one friend of mine, and yeah, we're creating it. But the thing is that I can get kind of communication with them, with some of them, and it's amazing. It's amazing, and it's amazing too that I can't tell anything. I don't know why they haven't even asked me, why I'm creating this tarot, why I'm using them for this tarot. And it's fine because I don't need them to know or to want to know, you know. I'm just doing what I was guided to do. And it turned out that I was guided to do something that she already did. Somehow, in a different way, but she did it. You know, when I realized this in the past,
Mm.
I was shocked
Mm.
because even without even knowing, I was heading to the same place.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, oh, okay, another sign. Thank you. You know, because I had this recurrent idea, this repetitive idea, this kind of download of visions of. I start having the visions of the cards. You
Mm.
know, and it's like, why does it has to be this person? And then I realized why, and it was so weird, you know, to find out that she did the same
Mm.
in a different way, but she did
Mm.
the same kind of, you know. And I am just listening to my intuition, following it, and doing what I am guided to do without any kind of explanation. I'm just
Yeah.
fulfilling what I feel that I need to do.
Oh, that's beautiful. Is there any sort of advice or not advice, but um, offering that you would say to people who are maybe now just starting or going through these experiences?
Praise yourselves. No, 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 no. It's okay. No, it's okay. It's an amazing journey. I think that the important part is to reach out for someone that may understand you. If
Mm.
you know that people around you will think that you are crazy, just shut up. You know, it's hard, yes, but it's better to not put, because I have known about so many people that their families want to, you know, medicate them
Mm.
because they think that they are really actually crazy.
Mm.
So they need to reach out because this is going to get really weird. It's going to get intense. You know, if out there, you know, someone that is listening or watching this video is having this kind of connection, please reach out. Try to reach out to someone uh, that can understand the journey. You know, because it's hard, and it's hard because it's hard to break the boundaries of the linear mind, of the rational mind, and accept it. You know, and there are so many twin flame or whatever, you know, twin flame soulmate and mentors out there, but you really need to find someone that has that this kind of experience, or at least had it, like you, that partially you had it, you know, and you never believed that you were crazy.
Mm.
Because there will be so many people out there trying to convince you that it's not real.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that it's in your mind. So uh, I think that, yeah, reaching out is part of it. Of it is important. The other part is to be respectful, because I know some people that are very insisting and that are very annoying. And you know, it's something that it has to do with the connection and the mission, not the 3D person exactly.
Yeah.
You know, but most of all is try to find the right answers by following your own intuition, I guess. You know, and take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time, because you might be freaking out. You might be freaking out at the beginning.
Mm. It is. It's a lot to adjust to in a
Yeah,
way,
exactly.
and to
But
understand.
and I think that it is also important to trust yourself. You know, I know I am maybe the worst person to tell you this, because I have been trying to, yeah, I have trying to, you know, take myself out of it so many
Mm.
times.
Mm.
But deep down inside me, I know that it is the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing is that my 3D linear mind doesn't want to accept the challenge that it, you know, it represents, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah. And I think it's overwhelming because it's so powerful. There's so much energy and frequency behind the power of the connection and what is possible through that. And that's why it
Mm-hmm.
is so challenging and it is such a hard journey and path, because it's refining and, yeah, redefining the nature of relationships as we know it.
Yes, yes. And the hard part is that also that I think that because I don't know yet anyone that has reached, the 3D level connection with their divine celebrity counterpart, so far, at least I haven't met anyone yet, and I know that this connection will be, it's very challenging because it's 80% of the connection happens in a 5D level or more, higher level, in different dimensions, not necessarily in the 3D realm. So that is a very challenging thing, it's amazing, it's beautiful, it has changed my life, but it's challenging because of course I have many times wanted to just send a message and tell her everything because I can't. I to be honest, if I decided, I would I would be able to write a message and send it, but it's not about that. It's not about the 3D connection. It's much more about the 5D connection, that developing all these, the telepathy, the empathy,
Yeah.
the astral plane projection. There's so many things behind this
Yeah.
connection than the 3D connection.
Yeah. And I often say, like, it really is about strengthening our own sensitivity and abilities through the connection, because we have the telepathy, we have the feel, and I think, eventually that will be the new way of living for everybody, where we're much more in tune with the senses, but it's through that connection that opens the doorway to that. And I have both, connections in the physical and the 3D and in the 5D, and I can tell you what, I think that sometimes that's even more challenging, to be honest, because
I know. Sorry, I couldn't help it.
Because you're literally dealing with someone who's going in and out of a 3D to 5D frequency or anywhere in between, and so you kind of dealing with a person who, even though one day may present in a very 3D manner, but you've got the 5D aspect playing out. It's always very multi-dimensional, and
I know.
So it can be really challenging in that way. And
I know. Sometimes I think also that, thank God. In somehow, it's like, it's nice to be just connected to the 5D level because it's very safe. In some way, it's very safe. There is no real, well, not that there is not real pain, because there is real pain, and you can experience so much triggers, and you can experience so more, so a lot of, experiences that you are not able to understand them and to use them and to put them back, because it's not related to linear time either. So it's kind of trying to read a map without having the instructions. It's hard. It's really hard. And also something that I wanted to share with the people that are going through this kind of connection, besides that they are not crazy, of course, is that you really need to try to get off your mind that they are celebrities. It's another kind of job. It's maybe I can say this because I was an actress too. I wasn't a celebrity, of course. You got all of that too, because I'm kind of an introvert, so I wouldn't be like very comfortable to be, too exposed or too in the limelight, I guess. But anyway, the part of understanding, because the system, the 3D system has indoctrinated us to believe that these are kind of different people, that they are not as we are. And that is huge lie. It's a huge lie. They are exactly as we are. They just have a not regular job. Well, it is a regular job, because I think that there are out there, the same number of actors and actresses and singers and, than lawyers maybe. It's just a job. It's just a job. And I think that it is also related with the journey. because they are already in the public eye. They are already fulfilling a social mission, you know. And well, I think that we just need to catch up, because I think that yeah, there are so many of twin flames, you know, the or counterparts or whatever. Their counterpart is always ends also in the you know, in the public eye somehow. You know, somehow we start hitting there to be seen and to be out there.
Yeah, I often find that in the dynamics, and I don't know if you see that too, but there's always one that's more extroverted, one that's more introverted. There's sort of like this kind of counterbalance thing that happens. Obviously, in my dynamic, I'm
no.
that's pushed to be out in.
No, Siri. If I would share right here how many things I have just realized about the journey, because also I have the same gender, well, not same gender, no, same sex, because it can be the same gender, bisexual, non-binary connection. It's weird, you know, because in the twin flame or in the counterpart regular connection, there is always a masculine and a feminine energy, but there are some kind of connections that have kind of solved the polarity within, you know, and it's kind of a more fluid. The connection is a little bit more fluid. So I think that I have learned, you know, through this all these 3 years, so many things about energy, about how it works, the connection, what's the purpose of this, because it has a purpose. Even if there is not a huge universal mission, the purpose is to create kind of a connection in a distance. You know, regularly it's in a distance that creates kind of a web, you know, and an energetic web. Yeah, I know, but you know, I didn't know that. I wasn't aware of that. I started understanding it, you know, and it all plays so perfectly. It always plays so perfectly, because I started feeling kind of obsessed with New York maybe 4 years ago, when I didn't even care about New York, you know, but it turned out that it was part of the plan, New York. Even if I haven't been able yet to get physically there, it was part of the plan. It was the universe letting me crumbles all over the place. You know, it's like follow these crumbles, and you will find what you're meant to be, what you're meant to be, I guess. Because I didn't ask for it. Really, I didn't want it. I didn't want it. Maybe I'm going to say something stupid, because I would choose her again and again and again and again in every life.
I'm just laughing at you because I think we go through obviously we're connected on a soul family level, and we go through very similar experiences at the same time. And have done, and the more we correlate our stories, it's like, oh, you went through that, oh, okay, yeah, cool. And as you're saying that, I'm laughing because there's been some real extreme purging happening since December in terms of people on this particular path. I've never, and I know that I've broken down many times in the last couple of months, screaming, crying, saying, I didn't ask for this. All I asked was to be able to serve humanity at its highest level and fulfill my mission. I didn't ask for this.
Yeah, you know, it's like, can I just, you know, can I just turn it out? You know, can I just get rid of this, please? You know, because I always, you know, this is something very interesting, because I always feel so. I also want to clear this out. You know, there are so many people out there believing that the twin flame connection and the divine counterpart is about being not whole, you know, inside, and that is, I don't know if that is, it's not precisely that, because I know I feel whole with a whole. I feel whole, but at the same time, I know that I would never give up to, because I was born like that.
Mm.
I born trying to find someone.
Mm.
And I will always have the feeling that I am missing something. And it's not, well, someone, but it's not exactly related to not being whole.
No, it's
It's
very
it's
different.
it's a very different feeling, because so many people reject the connection because they don't understand how it works in an energetic level.
Mm.
So that is also important to try to find out the dynamic behind it.
Mhm. Mhm. Maybe we can do, maybe we can throw out some questions to the people who are watching this, and maybe we can do a series of these if it's helpful to people navigating through these type of connections. Because I think one thing that we both share is we have a very unique perspective in the energetics and how that works. Obviously, with you in the science and the quantum entanglement, you have a very in-depth knowledge and understanding. And my work is predominantly working out the energy interaction and how that works and how it's connected, and how children come through that connection, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Just to take it to a whole other.
Yeah, that's another nice topic.
But maybe we could throw it out to the comment section if people would like to ask different questions, and we could maybe return back and address those questions in another video, and we can start to, I mean, this is kind of just an intro to set the tone and the platform, just to share a little bit about the experiences that we both had and the journey that we go through, and then we can sort of dive deeper into it, because I would love to bring you back on if you will.
Okay. No, it's okay. It's okay. It's hard because I already talked about this. It's hard for me to select what kind of information share and what I can't share, because of course I have to be respectful.
Mm.
I have to be respectful of her. So that is why I am not sharing her name, of course. And I need to be really, very careful to say what it generally applies. I am a person that like a lot to use examples and metaphors and something like that. But it's hard to know. It's hard to select what to share and what to keep for myself.
Mm-hmm.
It's out of respect. But of course, I'm open to keep talking about the connection. Because I know that out there are so many people talking about it, but I think that, to be honest, they are very centered in the 3D connection. And how do I get to meet him? How do I get to here's something, and they always put the 5D connection behind.
Yeah,
I guess.
Yeah.
And it has so much more to offer.
It really does. It really does. And I say time and time again, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now if it wasn't for this journey and this connection. I look back at various parts, and like you, I was instructed to open a page and start to share. And I was very resistant to share anything about twin flames, just because I think for very similar reasons of you, like I didn't want the wrong attention, because
Exactly.
it has a very tainted name out there because of different dynamics and relationships that people think it might be, and then it's something else, and it's a long process and a long journey to find out about self. And I look back and Cosmic Gateway wouldn't exist if it wasn't for this journey and my artwork. And I learned how to work and master and work with energy and do healing and the work and the capacity that I do, and none of it would exist if it wasn't. So when you were sharing it, I got really emotional. I know, because even in the hardest moments and throwing my tantrums and so
I know it gets intense. I know.
I wouldn't change a thing. because I look at the impact of how it helps people, and that fills my heart with joy.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. I know. Yeah, exactly. You know that that is what it is behind Carta Astral 222. You know, that unconditional love. That for better or worse, or worse, I can give it to her in 3D realm. You know, so I kind of channel it through the page, and it's amazing what can be done with that kind of unconditional love.
yeah.
You know, it has transformed me. You know, it has changed my life, and I think that it is being very helpful to change other people's lives. And for that, I will always be deeply, deeply thankful.
Beautiful. Well, Alicia, thank you so very much for coming on and chatting with me. And I look forward to diving deeper and talking more about, I guess, tips and tricks and any comments that people might want to ask. And we can twist your arm a little bit and bring you back on.
Yeah, okay. You know, it's just that it's hard, but I am going to get used to it, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm going to get used to it and feel comfortable, you know, because it took me 3 years to speak for the first time, like kind of publicly in a video about it, because I have been sharing like crumbles on my page. But every time I need to feel like kind of safe, that I'm not very insisting in the fact that it's someone that I haven't even met in the 3D reality.
It takes massive courage, and I just want to thank you for your openness and your sharing and your vulnerability, and to speak out about it. And I think that's how we change perception and we raise consciousness and awareness, is just to be open about how these experiences are very real and how they've changed our life and impact it for the better, and encourage.
And they are going to get even, and I think that they are going to get even more real, you know, and more. It will be more and more every time, because not right now that we are all locked up in our homes, you know.
Yeah.
Things are going to get really interesting for so
It
many
is.
people.
It really, I've had some downloads about that, but we'll go into another video.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We know how to, you know, we have to give it one piece at a time.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, wonderful. Well, if you do need support, if you do need guidance, obviously Alicia does, tarot reading, and we exchanged sessions not that long ago, and it was just so incredibly helpful in what you were able to bring forward. And I know that means that you've started doing it in English. So
yeah, with you. You were my first experiment, I guess. Yeah. Because it's it's fair to share that Spanish is my first language. Spanish is my mother tongue, and English is just, well, kind of indirectly my second language. I guess.
So if anyone wants to connect, I'll put all the details in the description box below. Obviously follow along with your page and the amazing content that you produce. But if they want to connect with you one-on-one, I'll put the details in the description box below. And obviously I do a lot of energetic alignment in divine partnerships. So if you feel that that's something that you feel guided to do, I'll put the links in the description box below for that. And until next time, just thank you everyone for watching. Thank you, Alicia, once again. And I look forward to the next round.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Love you.
Bye, everyone.